Another edition of Notes on the Newsfeed. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. Notes on the Newsfeed is my segment. Notes on the News. I think it's just news. It used to be Newsfeed when it was something. It had another name similar, but this is just Notes on the News. It's a segment where I read to you headlines from my newsfeed or other hot topic news type stuff, and I share with you my thoughts and opinions and ideas if I have any thoughts and opinions and ideas that I want to share about the headline, about the subject matter at large, about the article, about the topic, but it's not news. It's just my notes on the news. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. So welcome, whether you're joining us live or whether you are watching on the playback. Like, comment, share, subscribe. All of those things help build the channel. And you know, we're working on 1,000. We're working on 1,000. So I know all of y'all are subscribers, but you know, spread the word to the people who aren't. Oh, you're not a subscriber yet? Oh, it's easy. All you got to do is find that button, the red one that says subscribe, and hit it. Subscribe. That's all you got to do. See, that was easy, right? All right, let us proceed with the notes on the news feed. Why has Ethiopia imposed a state of emergency? So some political prisoners were let go. The president stepped down all within the last 2-3 weeks. They've imposed state of emergency. I guess that there was another state of emergency imposed in 2016. And I have to look on a map. I need to have a map right here with me. Ethiopia is not that far away from Zimbabwe and South Africa, is it? It's kind of like in that area of the continent down there. I mean, it may be far away but I'm just saying, what's going on? I need to get like an intensive education for whatever it's worth. I don't know if I need to or not, but I am curious. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to put it in context. I'm trying to put it in a broader global political context. You know, I'm trying to understand what's going on in that part of the world in the same context as what's going on in this part of the world, because there are connections. 41,000 historical artifacts seized in a crackdown by Europol, 81 different countries. So they've been getting like ivory stuff, ancient, I guess because people have not been selling things through art houses, through art auctions, more and more people have been selling things on the internet. So I guess that the people are it's easier to monitor. I guess you could, like, I could sit up and watch, however many shows live from all over the world, all over the country, right from my place. So I guess the investigators can investigate stuff on the internet. Just type it up, and I don't know. But that's what's going on with Europol, not Interpol. Europol. 41,000 artifacts seized. Ne-Yo's wife says her son wasn't blessed with silky hair. Fans swiftly drag her, probably not fans, but other people. No, her son might have been blessed with nappy hair. You know, nappy hair is a blessing. People get so offended when I say nappy hair. Some people. I'm happy to be nappy. I think nappy hair is beautiful. I love the curls and the coils. And when I was growing up, we used to call like curly hair straighter hair. And at some point, I'm like, nappy hair is the curliest of the curliest. And it's fascinating when you look at different people's hair textures. It's beautiful and interesting and just wonderful. And also when you have perms, it's like everybody's hair is straight. But when you start seeing natural hair, it's like there's so many dynamics. It's like hair is so dynamic, or black hair or curly hair, textured hair, whatever you want to call it. It's so dynamic and so interesting and so diverse, as opposed to just everything straight. It's like a lot going on. It's very interesting. And then shrinkage. I think that's like my favorite thing. I can watch those shrinkage videos. Now, I'm not like a big fan of straightening because I didn't know anything about heat damage until I got on the internet, but I don't like blow out my hair and straighten it and all of that stuff. So I don't know. But it made me like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have heat damage. I want my hair to be able to shrink still. So I love watching those shrinkage videos just to see the dynamicness, the energy, the vibrancy of black hair. Hey, welcome on the chat. We were talking about Ne-Yo's wife who said that her son wasn't blessed with silky hair. We were just talking, I was talking about the blessing of nappy hair, curly hair, kinky, coily hair, textured hair. Scientists have taken a step toward creating sheeple by introducing human cells into sheep embryos. I've never been around sheep. I mean, I know sheep have the reputation for being, you know, like, I guess pliable or whatever. Is that how sheep really are? Is that what's going on? I don't know. But anyway, that headline is coming off of Google. That's like not even like one of the, that's like a very mainstream headline. So that's interesting. Shashir Zamata, that's a black woman, and Sean Clearer to top line NBC comedy pilot So Close. So if you're a fan of Shashir, I think that she's one of the people who auditioned for Saturday Night Live when they said, well, oh, we can't find any black women comedians. Black women comedians? I mean, what? Huh? What? I think she was one of the people who auditioned or whatever. But I'm not. Comedy is so, you know, I don't know. I like to laugh. But sometimes I find like if I listen to the Comedy Channel, I'm like, this seems like it, you know, I don't like a fat woman being the butt of a joke, or I don't like a ugly, you know, I just feel like, it's not that funny to me or something. Terry Crews opens up about his alleged, that's interesting, they put alleged sexual assault. I guess it hasn't been proven. I still have to send a check to my molester. So I guess the company that represents him, like his agency, the person works there. So he's like, it's like you paying somebody, excuse me, who's like, you know, disrespected you, dehumanized you, offended you, upset you, disturbed you, touched you, put their hands on you, touched your penis like a man without your permission. Ugh. I think about the, you know, like being enslaved, and I guess like you're working, right? They beat you or whatever, however everybody's system work. And then, you know, it's like, but your energy, your vibration, your labor, your time, your work is going to enriching someone who is demeaning you, raping you, holding you hostage, stealing your money, stealing your labor, stealing your culture, separating you from your children, beating people you love. It's just like, that's deep for your energy and your vibration to be like, you know, going, like, you know, like I'm real sensitive, or I try to be really conscious. Like, you know, we were watching on, She's Gotta Have It, and the child went in the store looking for a dress, and she felt that the people were following her around. And I'm like, why would you even, I mean, I feel like if I don't feel comfortable in a place, I'm certainly not giving you my money, because my money represents my energy. And it took me time, and you know, took time for me to get this money. I'm going to give it to you, and I don't even feel comfortable. I try to be really sensitive about where I spend, you know, to control that as much as possible. You know, yuck. FaceTime chat saves a woman's life. So this woman was talking to her sister. She had gotten up from a nap, and her sister is like, your face is twisted and you're slurring your words. She didn't say it exactly like that, but basically. And the woman is like, oh, no big deal. And then the sister, who's like, your face is twisted and you're slurring your words, FaceTimed in another sister, and the other sister is like, hang up the phone now and call 911. And that's what they did. That's what she did. She was in a whole nother country. I think they're like, their names seemed like they were like West African, or I don't really know. But anyway, I guess if they had been talking on the phone, maybe the sister wouldn't have seen her face. Maybe if she had just heard her words slurred, she'd think, oh, you know, she's just waking up. I don't use FaceTime. I guess I kind of do. Like if I was having a heart attack or something, you know, while I'm live, I don't know what, what could you do? I don't know. But I mean, if you FaceTime somebody or video chatting with somebody, theoretically, you know them. Letter from Africa. Mugabe unloved on his birthday. I guess it's Mugabe's birthday today. And when I skimmed the article, they had footage of like images of birthday parties. Like I think he's 94 today, but like his 93-year party, his 89-year party, and like he's all happy and smiling and different cakes and different situations. And I think in the article they were like when Nelson Mandela, was no longer in power, had made his transition, his birthday is still celebrated. Now, apparently, Mugabe's birthday is still a holiday, but I guess that the people are not celebrating it. So, a U.S. teenager jailed for smuggling tiger across Mexico border. Now, the teenager said, "Oh, I just thought it would be cute." But I think the authorities are saying that this is a child or a person, a young person or whatever, who has tweeted, or they have some record of the child saying that they, sell exotic animals. And then they showed another image. Now, and they didn't show any images of the child, but there were like 3 images of lions. I guess they were lions or tigers. Oh, tigers. They had 3 images, I think, of different tigers, and they were really cute looking. I mean, I don't know if wild animals are cute, but so the child is in jail, they say. Peru coach plunges off Pan American Highway, killing dozens. And I was like, coach? What kind of coach? Like a soccer coach, a baseball coach? But it's like a motor coach, like a coach bus. And I think it was like 30 people. They say killing dozens. So I think it was like 30 people that made their transition. And I guess that maybe this particular area or whatever, it seemed like they were quoting another instance of a large group of people losing their life in a bus. So, peace and blessings to all of us, to the families and the friends of the people who made their transition, and peace and blessings to the people who are making their transitions and have made their transitions. The Pan American Highway. I know when I've traveled, sometimes like in the Caribbean or whatever, and people are driving and they're driving really, really fast, and you look and you're like, I can't really see what's coming ahead of me. And they have this this system of like flashing lights to let people know that they're coming. It's like, it's a lot going on and people are moving fast. And then you see the crosses on the side of the road and find out that those crosses are people who have made their transition on that very same road. And it's like, I just try not to look, because it's kind of like, whoa. Bahrain activist jailed for 5 years over Twitter comments. South Africa police station raid. 5 killed in Umtata, officers. I read the article or skimmed the article, but I couldn't exactly really figure out exactly why, what was going on, what the story or situation was. So I guess, peace to those people who made their transition and their families and friends and community. And I don't know where Umtata is, and I don't know what's going on. It's like they came in and they killed the people into the police station. I think that's what happened. O.W. Gurley, the visionary who fostered decades of prosperity and wealth for Black folks with the creation of Tulsa's Black Wall Street. I think when he first came, he had purchased like 80 acres of land, and then he had like a boarding house type situation, and then he purchased and built like a residential building and also like a business building. And then he got like another 120 acres of land, or maybe it was 80 and 40, and I totaled it up to 120. And meanwhile, other businesses and people were coming into the area. So we've heard of Tulsa's Black Wall Street, but I never heard of O.W. Gurley. And they didn't have his exact time of birth or his exact time of death. Some people thought that he had made his transition during the Tulsa race riots, they call them, but some people thought that he had made his transition later on in California after the fact. Firefighters on call time counts as work, ECJ rules. Now, this is in another country, I can't remember, but the firefighters are on call. They might not be in the firehouse, but if somebody called them, they have 8 minutes to be on site. So yeah, that seems like that's definitely like an on call. That's not, so they need to me, yeah, I think they need to be compensated. That's not like somebody could call you and ask you a question, or, you know, call you and ask you to, you know, could you come into work in 3 hours? That's like you basically working, you just not at the fire station. SpaceX is about to quietly launch the first two of nearly 12,000 satellites to blanket Earth in high-speed internet. I got this bad connection thing coming up again. I tried to turn my thing back the way it was and try to, like, you know, get things straight, but I don't know. So 12,000 satellites are going to blanket the Earth in high-speed internet. That seems like a lot, and they're launching 2. And I've never even heard of SpaceX, but they say they're quietly launching. AI is making more realistic CG animal fur. So I guess fur is like kind of difficult to do, and they're doing better with it. I don't know if I care, but just for those who do, I guess. Hitler's abandoned Olympic Village is now a decaying concrete wasteland. Take a look. I'm like, I don't want to say endlessly fascinated, but I think these whole, like, you know, when the Olympics come, when the football championship thing, Super Bowl comes, when other big events come to cities or towns, and they build up things to accommodate that specific event, what happens to the things that are built up just to accommodate that event afterwards? And I feel like it should be done, you know, like with a consciousness for the after, and it being usable to the community after. But it seems like it, for the most, or from what I can see, you see a lot of imagery of, like, you know, in Rio and in Brazil, this was the Olympic Village and this is how it looks now, and, you know, whatever. Tavis Smiley files racially charged lawsuit against PBS over his firing after sexual misconduct investigation. That man, when he got let go, he was on the day he got let go, he was protesting. Shortly thereafter, he hasn't stopped being like, I don't accept this. He ain't gone quietly into the night at all. I mean, it's really it's interesting. Like, I don't really know what to make of it. It seems like I did read one article at one point, and I was kind of like, and even the way that he was dismissed was confusing to me, because it seemed like he had consensual relationships with some of his colleagues. And so I was just kind of like, I didn't understand. I didn't really understand. And I guess he ain't understand either, because he's still, you know. Syria war, Eastern Ghouta bombing beyond imagination. Study finds, so peace for all of the people who are living in that region of the world where the bombings are happening. They say that it's like, you know, 50 children being killed, and bombs are just being dropped indiscriminately, and there are women and children there. And I think that's like an interesting turn of phrase, because our women are never warriors. So you got to get the women and children out, and then the men can fight it out. I'm like, I didn't really understand. I don't really understand that. Study finds little progress for women in percentage of non-acting Oscar nominations. I think it's gone from 20 to 23%. The FCC is set to publish its net neutrality order, kickstarting a 60-day deadline for Congress to overturn the decision. Remember a couple months ago, we were all like, oh, net neutrality. And then we found out that they had gotten all of these comments, like during the public comment period, and like 2 million of them were fake, and they knew they were fake, and they still voted to end it anyway. Mark Cuban fires 2 Mavericks employees after report details allegations of a hostile work environment, including sexual harassment and domestic violence. HoloLens adds mixed reality to a Japanese national treasure. So it can make like an old work of art, if you have on the right glasses, look like it's floating or surrounded by clouds or whatever. So it's like mixing the old with the new, the ancient with the current. Florida shooting. Enough is enough. The children are out there protesting right now, aren't they? And I've been seeing them. A lot of those children look brown. I don't think I've seen any that look black, but a lot of them do look brown. Janelle Monáe stars in a Jordan Peele directed photo shoot noir town, like Black Town. Fire shutters 115-year-old Little Italy restaurant, injuring 13. I think that restaurant was across the street from where I used to live. I think it's a restaurant that I used to go to. But I kept trying to like look at the images and figure out if it's a restaurant I used to go to. And they used to have the best, if it is, these sauteed, the greens, the spinach greens with with garlic and olive oil. And I'm not really a garlic person, but it was really, really delicious. And I'm also not really a cooked spinach person, but it was really, really delicious. And it was something else I used to get from there. When I was in New York, it seemed like when I would get pasta with tomato and basil sauce, it would be so delicious from certain places, like the authentic Italian places. It was just like so simple and so tasty and so delicious. And there used to be this place right across the street from where I lived that I used to go to eat sometimes. And that was good. So I hope, injuring 13. So peace for those people. Peace to the people who own the restaurant, the neighborhood, the community, and all of that. Sorry that happened. The fire-burning queens of the Virgin Islands, who I never heard of, but they were like, burn it down. They were revolutionaries and they revolted against being enslaved, and they were leaders. And it was like 2 or 3 or 5 different women. I'm going to click on that article and we'll come back to it. Read how a Black woman's food startup caters to people with digestive issues. How Black folks drove the record-breaking $235 million success of Black Panther. So this article talked about the fact that Black people for a year were tweeting about Black Panther and talking about Black Panther and just advertising. We didn't call it advertising. We were just excited and we were just like, Black Panther, Black Panther, Black Panther, Black Panther. They couldn't pay for better advertising. And then on top of that, we bought out houses. So famous people, T.I. collaborated with Walmart to buy out houses and give tickets away to children. So-and-so bought a house in a movie theater house, like a showing, like, not a house, but the whole, like in theater, we call it the house. I don't know if they call it a house in movie theaters, but the whole audience for that showing, 400 people can come in. I'm paying for 400 people to come in and get refreshments. And so all of that made a difference in terms of the sales of Black Panther. Queen Mary, Queen Agnes, Queen Matilda, the fire-burning queens of the Virgin Islands. Queen Mary, Queen Agnes, Queen Matilda make up the 3 queens of the Virgin Islands, then the Danish Virgin Islands, where they led revolts urging laborers to freedom. In 1848, an uprising by enslaved men and women forced the Danish government to grant them their freedom. However, local slave owners were displeased and created new laws that essentially kept them enslaved. This prompted the queens of the Virgin Islands to organize a rebellion years later in 1878. So in 1848, the freedom came, and then 30 years later in 1878, they did the rebellion. The rebellion started off as a peaceful protest of inhumane treatment and terrible work conditions, but after fellow laborers were being killed at the hands of Danish soldiers, the peaceful protest took a turn. The laborers attacked the soldiers with heavy stones until they had to barricade themselves inside a compound. The queens and the laborers were unsuccessful in breaching the compound where the Danish soldiers hid, so they set fire to the nearby homes and businesses until over half the city of Frederiksted was engulfed in flames. This became the legendary Fireburn Revolt. Never heard of it. It destroyed about 900 acres of agricultural land. Following the rebellion, I'm not reading that mess. But anyway. Queen Mary was known for being a part of almost every revolt in St. Croix. Queen Matilda joined the rebellions at only 21. She left 3 children, including a 4-month-old daughter, to burn down the island in the name of freedom. The queens were immortalized with a statue. So I never heard Fireburn Revolt. Never heard of it. You learn something new, I guess, every day. Yay, thank you for your service, Mama Queen. Queen Mamas. Dust storm blankets Australian town in orange. Good friend, God friended me. Scandals Joe Morton to co-star in CBS drama pilot. It's called God Friended Me. Now, Joe Morton is in this movie that I saw, and it was called, he was like Brother from Another Planet. And years later, I read that he doesn't really have any lines in that movie, but he was the star. And so I've been like, I want to see that movie again, because can you imagine? I didn't even realize he didn't have any lines, and he was like the star of the movie. So now that brother is an actor. He's an actor. The 10 big cities that consume the most marijuana. A couple of them are like in Pakistan and India and Europe and the United States. It's spread all over the world. Some of them, marijuana is legal. Some of them is illegal. Pope's investigator meets child sex abuse victims. I'm like, why they gotta meet with I just figured they done abused the people. I guess you meeting with them to hear their stories. Just tell them to stop, make them stop abusing people. That's what I want you to do. I don't want no more meetings. It make me sick. In an effort to tamper corruption, South African president announces lifestyle audits. So I guess that, like, let's say, I think that it's going to be like high level people, not low level people. But like, let's say I worked at a clothing store and I drove as a key holder at a clothing store, but I drove an expensive car and lived in an expensive home. They'd be auditing to try to reconcile your lifestyle with your, like, where are you really getting money from? Is it from corruption? That's what they say they're doing. Installation begins at Bezos-backed 10,000-year clock. So the clock will tick every once a year, like tick tock, but it'll only tick once a year. And, different things happen on like much broader time spans than we typically think of when we think of clocks. And it's designed to get us to think about how will this decision affect our grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren, our great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren, like generations. Like, let's think with a broader, like in bigger ways, with a broader time scope. John Blassingame, pioneering scholar and historian of slavery. But when I read his stuff, it didn't seem like he was a historian of slavery. It seemed like he was an historian of black folks, like when I read the titles of some of his work. So I don't know. Slavery or black folks, I don't know what is going on. I don't know if you focused on slavery or black folks. I have been having the worst luck with my connection today. I need a technician over here stat. Broadway phenomenon, The Color Purple, gets a rousing response in South Africa. They're like, oh, black people don't like theater. Black people like theater when black people are in it, apparently, according to their experience. Spain, father of migrant boy found in suitcase in Ceuta freed. So they have an image of the suitcase going through the security scan, and you see the child in the suitcase, and it almost looks like a baby in vitro, like a baby in the belly. It's kind of like I thought it was a really stunning, interesting image. But the boy and his father both say they didn't know that was going to happen. The people told him he was going to be transported in a car, not in somebody's suitcase. Michael B. Jordan denies dating rumors as flirtatious messages surface with Black Panther co-star Lupita Nyong'o. I didn't believe him. UNT staffer opposed to naming school dorm after a person of color claims it's reverse racism. We know what we think of reverse racism, right? Okay. That might be a whole conversation for another day. Will Smith's advice on the pursuit of happiness will change how you date. He basically said, when I decided to stop trying to make my wife happy, that's when our marriage really went to the next level. She take care of her, making herself happy. I take care of making myself happy. We come together as two happy people. Yes, I was so happy to see that. Android P will prevent apps from quietly hijacking your camera. We were talking about that a few days ago. Activists set to protest R. Kelly's Detroit concert. Oh, I didn't talk about Wendy Williams. She's going to be on hiatus for 2 or 3 weeks. And she was saying that she met with R. Kelly and she really likes him. She's saying she's going to be on hiatus because her Graves' disease or whatever is acting up, her thyroidism or whatever. And she has to get stuff stabilized with her medicine and stuff. So I meant to talk about that at the front while I was still thinking about it. Outrage after school board member shares photo of lynching noose. And these people always want to play like they don't. I don't know if this person said, I didn't know it had any connotation. They know what they. Biracial professionals reflect on painful revelation that their white side wasn't as inclusive as their black side. And the fact that I have one white person, I think, in my life that I'm relatively close to, and we're really, really not that close. We're very friendly and we're politically very similar in some ways. Like, you know, I like the person, but I don't know that I would consider us friends. We're friendly, but I don't know if I consider us friends. But that's totally different from my mama or my daddy being black. I mean, being white. My mama and my daddy are black. But like, I can't imagine like how that shifts how you process things. We talked about that in terms of like your loyalty. If you're, you know, who you're raised by, who you're around, you know. Now, of course, the society has raised us to be so hostile toward black folks, everybody, us and everybody. But I mean, you know, just in an intimate way, I don't have any white people that I'm like close to like that, really, where I feel like any like I'm not like my mother is white, and you know, it's totally different. Sade to make musical return with original song for A Wrinkle in Time, and Miss Ava said she asked her, she didn't think she would do it, and she did it. If you do not ASK, you will not GET. CoverGirl features their first black model with vitiligo in new campaign. New survey reveals 94% of women in Hollywood say that they've experienced sexual harassment or assault. A white man killed her son, and now Jordan Davis's mom is running for office in Georgia. Now, in Georgia, I thought that was in Florida. This is the story or the situation where the children were at the gas station and they had their music on, and the crazy man, told them to turn the music down, and then he shot into the car and one of the children was killed. So his mom, the child who was killed, his mom is running for public office in Georgia. A billionaire just launched a company to sell hotel reservations in space and outdo NASA with a monster space station. Stanley Majors, life sentence for Oklahoma man who murdered neighbor. And that's all I got. Now, this guy was harassing his Middle Eastern neighbors, you know, calling them names, just harassment. And he had hit the mother, or he hit the son, and he ended up killing the people. So the man who killed the people got a life sentence, but I think they're suing the cops because they had reported it again and again and again. And, you know, it's weird. It's crazy when your neighbors are crazy. That's kind of intense. That's what I got. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, subscribing, and all of those other good things that I say. We're working on 1,000. Yay! Woo, 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 woo. Yes, yes, yes. So today is the best day ever. Be you. Be fabulous. And we're coming back with, ooh, Married at First Sight. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous